It is game 2 of this 3-game series between the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks as the Dodgers try to snap this 3-game losing streak and get back on track, still with a chance at a .500 trip. And we say welcome inside here in Arizona or Hershiser. I'm Joe Davis. Alana Rizzo joins us in just a moment. Not only is it 3 consecutive losses, but it's 3 consecutive one-run losses. This is a tough way to drop games. It's the first time since 2013 they've lost 3 in a row by just 1 run.
Yeah, it gets very frustrating down on the field. The players feel the intensity. The one-run losses, the one-run loss record overall is not good, but it means you're really close. And the place to make it change is with runners in scoring position. The pitching has been there. The bullpen is one of the best in baseball. But what now the offense has to secure the runs when they're out there.
On the mound for the Dodgers tonight is Maeda, who got off to a great start over his first few outings as a Dodger. Then about a month stretch where he wasn't as good, but lately he's been the guy that he was when the season started.
And he's doing it a little different equation. The equation right now has been the league has caught up with the fact that he throws a lot of breaking balls. He wasn't able to walk people off the plate, but now he is 2-1 with a 1 ERA in his last 3 and the career high in strikeouts in his last outing. And look at the red dots. Those are fastballs. Really been encouraged to throw more fastballs in fastball counts and in counts where he was throwing breaking ball, and it's brought him more success.
He'll face off with the Diamondbacks' Archie Bradley here in the second game of this 3-game series. The finale will be tomorrow. Clayton Kershaw taking the ball in that one. When we come back, Alana Rizzo takes you inside Corey Seager's rookie season, which continues to get better and better. Had that 440-foot home run last night. It looks like Orr was out front passing out free t-shirts before the game. That guy was lucky enough to score one. And the Dodger fans filing in here to Chase Field for the second game of this 3-game series. And they've got the roof opened again with the temperature below 100 degrees. Dodgers trying to bounce back from a 3-game losing streak, falling 3-2 last night. Their third consecutive 1-run defeat. And their 7th consecutive game failing to score more than 4 runs. So Dave Roberts hopes that the lineup can get things going and get the team headed in a new streak. Chase Utley will lead it off for Dave Roberts with Corey Seager hitting out of that familiar 2 spot. Justin Turner has shown signs the last few days of breaking out. Gonzalez out of the cleanup spot. Trace Thompson, a couple of good at-bats last night that turned into walks. Jock Peterson, Yasmani Grandal does the catching. Howie Kendrick gets the start in left field, and Maeda hits 9th. They do it against Archie Bradley, who's 23 years old, one of the top prospects in this D-back system. He's in the majors for the 3rd separate stint this season already. He's up here for 1 game in mid-April, was up again in early May, and this is now his 4th start of his most recent stay.
And 2nd year in the big leagues, in the 1st year that he hasn't spent the offseason at home with his parents in Oklahoma. He spent the offseason here in Arizona, and that came about how he went to Paul Goldschmidt, his first baseman, and said, "What do you do in the winter?" And he said, "I live here, and I live at our complex and work out every day." He called his parents and said, "I'm only coming home for Christmas and Thanksgiving. I'm going to be here working." He's thinner, he's stronger, he's upped his fastball velocity. So they'll see a fastball around 92 to 94. He's got a little spiked knuckle curve, and he throws his changeup a little bit more often because it's coming along in development.
Our closed captioning tonight is brought to you by Wiener Schnitzel. You mentioned the fastball. He throws that thing 70% of the time, which is 3rd in baseball. Only Bartolo Colon and Aaron Sanchez throw the fastball more often.
He has struggled at times locating it. He reverted back to the old thrower in his last outing, but he is coming along with the command of it. So a lot of times when he has his good outings right now, he is effectively wild.
So Utley to start things off after going hitless in last night's game. And it's Seager and then Turner. Archie Bradley, 23-year-old out of Oklahoma. And his 6th start of the season begins with ball 1. Now Bradley's major league debut came against the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. That was last April, and he was really good. Gave up just 1 hit over 6 shutout innings. And beat Clayton Kershaw in that game for his first big league W.
It was one of the very few rough outings that Clayton Kershaw has had over the last 3 or 4 years. Struggled with his slider and his breaking ball that day. Bradley won 6-0.
His 2-0 is a strike.
And I guess that's why they play the game. You got Clayton Kershaw going up against a rookie last year, and all of a sudden David beats Goliath.
Made 8 starts last year in his major league debut. Had an ERA around 6. ERA's above 5 so far this year. 2-2.
Chase Utley in a bit of a slump. 152 over his last 46 at bats.
Yeah, and he swings and misses at a breaking ball for strike 3 in the first out of this opening frame.
Shortstop, number 5, Corey Seager.
Brings up Corey Seager. Alana told you a little more about his start just a minute ago, but gotten better and better as the season has gone on. Above 300 over the last month and nearing 300 overall. Homered against Greinke last night. His longest home run of the season, longest home run of his career, 440 feet over the pool in right center.
His last 17 games, he's either drove in a run or scored a run to the total of 27. 13 RBIs and 14 runs scored.
2-0. He takes ball 3.
He's a bat that, even in the second hole, that the Diamondbacks will be labeling as "don't let him beat us."
It didn't take long for him to get that reputation. Heard John Hartung say it during the pregame show. He's only been a big leaguer for 3.5 months now of regular season action. Debuted last September. Opening day shortstop this year. He waits on this 3-1 from Archie Bradley. And he walked him. So Seager with a free pass, and the Dodgers with their first base runner of the night.
Third baseman, number 10, Justin Turner.
Justin Turner, we talked about it a little bit ago, also during the pregame, but there's not much statistically on this road trip to look at as proof that he's breaking out, turning a corner, but some of the results behind the numbers have been impressive. Had that big home run on Friday night. Doubled off of the wall to bring home a run in the first inning yesterday. And he's just looked a lot more comfortable lately.
Squaring up a lot more balls. The outs are louder. The approach at the plate seems more compact and confident. I think there's a real intent for him to hit the ball hard now. Statistics have a funny way of dealing with your head as a hitter. When you look up at the scoreboard and see your average or your home runs or your RBIs not where you want them, you have a tendency to maybe try and make things happen, expand the strike zone, try and get it all done in one at bat or one night. I think Justin got to a point now where it's about the long haul. I think he's a lot more comfortable in the box saying, okay, my average is not where I want it to be. My home runs and my RBIs are not where they want it to be. And the only way I'm going to change it is to have a consistent, solid, confident approach the rest of the year.
You hear a lot of talk with these offensive struggles for the team about chasing hits. When you see that average you mentioned up on the board, not where you want it to be, trying to get it all back in one trip.
There's like stages to a slump, stages to offense kind of being down. And I think the offense is actually reaching a point where they're going to be comfortable with battling through the rest of the year and making it turn around instead of trying to make it happen all in one night. And it's so close right now. I mean, it's not runners in scoring position. It's hitting when they're there. It's not getting people on base. It's finishing off a rally.
Last 7 games, the Dodgers 3 of 37 with runners in scoring position. That included last night, an 0 for 11 performance. 2-2 on Turner. One that really stuck out was the 8th inning when they loaded the bases against Daniel Hudson, down by 1 run at that point. Brad Ziegler comes on and gets 2 outs to get out of that inning. And ultimately went 5 outs for the save. After Zach Greinke's 7 innings, he moves to 9-3 on the year. Bradley pumps it 2-2, and Turner pops it in foul ground. Paul Goldschmidt is there. 2 out.
Last night in the bases loaded situation against Ziegler, I think Ziegler only threw 1 strike in that big situation. The Dodgers were stretching the strike zone, and I think the key is that they are getting on base more because they're making pitchers throw strikes, but they have to continue to do that when they get into big situations.
Here's Gonzalez. Only hitting 154 in June. Batting with a man at first. 2 gone in the first. Ball 1. Guy that has always hit wherever he's been. From Texas to begin his career, to San Diego for a long stretch, to Boston, and then to the Dodgers in that blockbuster deal a few years back. Since coming over in that trade, he's knocked in more runs than any player in the National League.
And as much as you think that he needs a day off here and then, he might be getting a little older, the power is starting to go down. Still has 6 home runs and 31 RBIs. And he is a annual 100 RBI guy. But he could be starting to cross the bridge of the veteran leader, the veteran bat in the lineup, and not really the focal point bat that you hope that Corey Seager becomes, that you hope that Trace Thompson becomes, that we've hoped that Yasiel Puig would become.
Seager off of first, 2-1. Down and away, 3 balls and a strike. And of course, he's dealt with that tight back the last couple of seasons. Adrian has had the epidural in mid-May and went on a nice 2-week run after getting a few days off, getting some treatment on the back. Waits on a 3-1 and fouls it off of Herman. 3-2. Even with the ups and the downs that his season has seemed to go through, the average .274.
Why do catchers not win many batting titles? Right there. Swinging the bat good, and then you take one off your left arm and it affects your 4 at-bats that night. Really hard to hit for power and to hit for average as a catcher for a whole season.
Herman, a guy that's done a good job so far. He's earned more and more playing time away from Wellington Castillo.
That's what amazed me always about like a Johnny Bench or a Mike Piazza. Guys that can just continue.
Gonzalez looks at strike 3. Bookend strikeouts in this first inning for Archie Bradley. Kenta Maeda takes the ball for the Dodgers after this break. That's not been the case this season. Down near the middle of the pack in the National League in scoring runs. Gene Segura, though, has been a bright spot at the top of the order, coming over from Milwaukee from last season. Lamb and Goldschmidt both went deep last night. Peralta and O'Brien in the 4 and 5 spots. Michael Bourne makes his first start of the series and hits 9th against Kenta Maeda.
And Kenta Maeda coming off a very much of a hard luck loss. Lost 1-0, but 9 career strikeouts. And why? The high was because he's using his fastball more. The slider was something that the league started to catch up to. And I really believe that as he gains ego in his fastball, it will continue to keep him successful.
He goes to work against Gene Segura. Pours in strike 1 on that fastball. Now Maeda, over his first 4 games, was unbeaten, had an ERA below 1. And he had a rough patch of about 5 starts where he had an ERA above 6. But his last 3 times out, 2-1 with an ERA right at 1.
When you start making good pitches with your fastball, it opens up everything in your arsenal. And when you back yourself into one pitch, which the slider was where the league knew he wanted to always go, they would get a read on those borderline ones or the ones on the corner. So he wasn't getting the same effectiveness from the same exact pitch because they were expecting it and looking for it. So he had to get the mystery back into his repertoire. And Rick Honeycutt, of course, and Dave Roberts were a big part of that transition back to using the fastball.
2-2 on Segura. And of course, anytime you get a new player coming into the league, you always think about the second time the league season and the adjustments that the league starts to make to a guy. This is Maeda's second start against Arizona. Fired 6 shutout innings his first time. That was his first start at Dodger Stadium back on April 12th.
And Kenta being the complete athlete, great hitter, great fielder, great pitcher, he doesn't have a hard head when it comes to dealing with failure. He doesn't say, well, this is who I am and I will continue to put this square peg in a round hole. He will adjust and has the ability to adjust because he's a great athlete.
Remember during spring training there were some questions to Dave Roberts about what's going to happen, the second time the league sees him. So often you see guys struggle the second time around. And Dave said because Kenta is such a smart pitcher, he thought it might be in Kenta's advantage the second time around against the league. That may be an overly glass half full way to look at it, but the point is well taken that this is kind of a next level thinker when it comes to baseball smarts.
And here's an example, 3-2, and it took Yasmani a little bit to get to the signal. And the first time around the league, this would have been a slider, but here it is. Kenta shook to the fastball.
Shakes twice. And on another 3-2.
That was the slider at 83 and very well located. We saw this with Mike Bolsinger against the Diamondbacks, who Mike grew up a Diamondback, pitched against them a few times, and we saw them, even with Mike's best off-speed pitches, his curveballs and his sliders, we saw them still hitting him hard to the opposite field. It's almost like they knew or they were looking for what was coming. And Kenta has learned from that example, and he watched Mike. He knows he's pitched against Arizona. He has relived success with the fastball and being able to mix, and so I think he's going to adjust just fine to the rest of the season and whatever the league tries to adjust to him.
Gene Segura working an at-bat against him. This is the 9th pitch, and it's fouled off of Grandal. Here's the line, his first start against Arizona. Took a no decision in that game despite a great outing. Gene Segura, first year in a Diamondbacks uniform, over from the Brewers and having a really nice year. Breaking ball pulled inside of the bag down the left field line. And Segura turns an excellent at-bat into a leadoff double.
It was an excellent at-bat. Kenta threw him everything that he has, including 3 out of 4 fastballs in the 3-2 count before he gets to this curveball, which is the first one of the game of the 9 pitches he's thrown. He actually forced Kenta to pitch to him instead of like, I can go with a fastball and a slider, get you out, and we'll just move it on. But he battled, and 10 pitches in, he's got a double.
And he's got an RBI opportunity teed up for Jake Lamb, who's already knocked in 5 more runs than he did all of last season. He's already hit twice as many home runs as he did last year. Number 12 coming last night. Started him with a fastball, strike 1. Lamb was the only guy in this Diamondbacks lineup that had even a sliver of success the first time they saw him. He doubled twice in 3 at-bats. Stranded both times in that game back in early April. Got to 0-1. Is lined to right. And the Diamondbacks will take a first inning lead. Thompson throwing to second. And one hops in. Tag put down and they get him. Trace Thompson, a tremendous defensive play to gun down Jake Lamb, who drives in the game's first run.
Jake Lamb with his 40th RBI hits this little changeup. He's out in front of it, but he's got enough swing left to hit a bullet down in the corner. And boy, does the speed of Trace Thompson work out right there, and the accuracy of the arm with his eyes to the outfield wall. Throws a strike in there to Chase Utley, and he tags him in the upper body, right on the hip, just in time. Been watching Yasiel Puig play out there.
Puig homered last night, by the way, in his first rehab game. Strike one to Paul Goldschmidt. We take a look at our mini Let's Motor player profile. Goldschmidt got off to a really slow start, but he's on an 18-game on-base streak right now, hitting .385 during that stretch, and over the course of his career, he has given the Dodgers all kinds of fits. Hit his 23rd home run against LA of his career last night. It's the most among active players. Came against him, Mike Bolsinger. 1-2.
Well documented slow start for Paul this year, but of late on an 8-game hitting streak, hitting .419 over those 8 games.
If you're looking for reasons why this lineup has fallen below expectations, first and foremost, it's that A.J. Pollock isn't in it. Their leadoff man, their center fielder, broke his elbow prior to the start of the season. The other piece would be Goldschmidt, slumped badly for the first month and a half. Chopped is short. Corey Seager will throw him out.
Yeah, the A.J. Pollock story and their offense are just completely linked. It's one thing losing someone that was really good on your team. Well, AJ was really good in the whole league. You know, top 5 in almost every offensive category. And it was a huge blow to this Diamondback team that really was positioning themselves to make a run deep into the playoffs with the offseason acquisitions.
Because they have Pollock, or had Pollock, and because they have Paul Goldschmidt. Peralta hits a rising liner to right. Thompson lays out and makes the play. 2 of the 3 outs in the inning, courtesy of the defense from Trace Thompson. Gets to Maeda, though, allows his first inning run of the season. And it's 1-0 Diamondbacks after 1. Second inning after two nice defensive plays in the bottom of the first as we look at our Carl's Cam replay. That is his first career outfield assist to get Jake Lamb, and then finish the inning with a nice sprawling play.
How many times does it happen? A guy makes a great defensive play and leads off the inning. 1 out of 9.
And it's cliche to say that a guy follows often a great defensive play with a big hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Watch, he's going to homer and make it real, make it more than a cliche. He's done so this season 10 times. He's knocked in 23. All over the rookie leaderboard in baseball. Bradley's 1-1, spins low, 2 balls and 1 strike. Trace was 0 for 2 last night, but had 2 walks. A couple of really impressive at-bats, one of them against Zach Greinke, one of them during that run against Daniel Hudson where they were unable to cash in. On 3-1, Thompson swings and it's a hard bouncing ball to Ahmed. So the Dodgers still looking for their first hit against Archie Bradley as Jock Peterson comes up. Has a hit in all 4 games on this road trip. Doubled against Greinke last night. He said yesterday at some point, not sure if it was before or after the game, but that Greinke used to critique his swing last year and tell him that he was an easy out. And so he was looking forward to the opportunity to face Zach, show him that wasn't the case. There are a lot of Dodger hitters that were looking forward to that opportunity because, like we talked about last night, Zach never was afraid to share his feelings. Here's a 1-0.
It's like a chess match when you're playing a computer. You kind of know where they're going to go because they're going to make the ultimate move, and still hard to beat. And Zach would expose the information of where he thought your holes were, where he could best get you out, and then he just tried to execute it and did a real good job yesterday.
Through 119 pitches, which was a season high, fell just short of his career high. And the look on Chip Hill's face in the dugout that we got during that final at-bat was priceless. And I think you said it. That's the look of a guy who knows he's running a $200 million man out there, maybe a little longer than he should.
Maybe 10 pitches too far. In those 10 pitches, he was taking his hat off, rubbing his head, pacing. And he was very relieved when Zach got out of the jam, and I think he was probably more relieved today when Zach reported the ballpark with no excess soreness.
One gone in the second, and a 2-2 from Archie Bradley to Jock Peterson. Bounce to first for Goldschmidt. So 2 strikeouts and 3 softly hit balls against Bradley so far.
Number 9, Yasmani Grandal.
And Yasmani Grandal comes up.
Yeah, the years that I played for the Dodgers, and Tommy Lasorda, of course, was the manager. When we would go through offensive slumps like this, there were times that he would come out of the dugout and coach third base. He'd do anything he could to shake it up. It feels like sometimes the club is getting close, but they need a little shake-up. I just kind of laugh to think that if Dave Roberts would think about doing something like that.
I think he'd look a little more natural out there coaching third than Tommy might have.
A little safer, too, because I think he's a little more nimble. I think everybody remembers Tommy Lasorda coaching third base in the All-Star game and having the bat come down by him and taking that backwards flip. Every club goes through it.
Bradley trying to work a 1-2-3 second. Grandal drives one down the left field line, but foul.
A lot of times as a hitter or as an offense, you're going to have 2 bad months during the 6-month season. You're going to have 2 average months, and you're going to have 2 good months. And your statistics then kind of all level out to where your ability should be.
Grandal hits a liner to short that's caught by Jake Lamb, the third baseman, who had moved there behind the bag. Dodgers down in order in the second. Down in the game 1-0. Giveaway, a Zach Greinke autographed baseball, and because there's so many Dodger fans in here, you heard the place fill up with boos. Welcome back inside, Joe and Orel. Last night we joked around about scoring balls into the shift, putting like at 4 when a third baseman is shifted over to second. You said that you would like to be credited with inventing that. Maybe one day it'll be on Wikipedia. A fan actually went onto Wikipedia and added it to your page.
Well, that was very nice of him. I don't know if I invented it. I wasn't trying to take credit, but I did.
Oh, you 100% were trying, and you, congratulations, it worked. O'Brien with his swinging bunt. Maeda makes a nice play for the first down of the inning.
Well, the last out one, Yasmani Grandal lined out to the third baseman playing second base. I added an M because it was the second base position up the middle.
So L5 at 4M.
Yep.
Okay.
This is going to get really complicated if they start shifting guys around even more.
Here's Chris Herman, Diamondbacks catcher, who took that foul tip off of the forearm during the top of the first inning. And takes strike one. Somebody replied to a discussion about that on Twitter and said, what if they outlaw the shift? And while there was some talk about that for a little period of time, I think that that's kind of died down. Herman drives a liner to center. Peterson is there. 2 quick outs here in the second.
So when the game's tied in the bottom of the 9th and there's bases loaded, you can't bring a 5-man infield in. You can't. There's just certain things. You can't run a bunt play. You know, we're not going to be able to run the shortstop over to third base with first and second no out on a bunt play and run the wheel. I don't think that's coming.
Well, I think Rob Manfred in one of his first interviews basically said that he was open to talking about things like that, and it turned into a little more of a story than it actually was as far as the banning of shifts. I think there were some people that had written that you would need to have some kind of line on the field in order to mark where an illegal shift began. And of course, you're not going to do that. You're not going to add extra lines to the perfect shape that is a baseball diamond. Part of the natural evolution of the game.
I have a feeling that in maybe 30 to 50 years, there won't be starting pitchers.
Okay.
There will just be a pitching staff. It seems like on the bullpen days, on the days where you're just trying to get through the game and you've lost your starter, but you're just going to have the bullpen do it, that the manager has the most flexibility to create the matchups that he wants. And even like they do over in Japan, sometimes they'll warm up 2 starters and you don't know which one is going to pitch until the lineup cards go up to home plate.
Yeah, that's like an old high school trick.
Or they'll warm up a guy in the bullpen and they'll put another guy in the tunnel underneath that's left-handed and warm him up. And then when the lineup card goes up, the 2 opposing teams have no idea who's pitching. And you just have to set your lineup. Now, if we did get to the point where there's no starting pitchers and you just have a pitching staff, you could throw a guy like Clayton Kershaw 3 times in a series, maximum maybe 30, 35 pitches.
Maeda strikes out Ahmed. He is the starting pitcher tonight. And he's got a 1-2-3 second in a 1-0 game. Great 10-pitch pinch hit AB last night against Zach Greinke that he capped with a single and earned himself a start tonight in left field. 8-9-1 for the Dodgers in the 3rd against Archie Bradley. Howie hitting .222, a guy who has hit .290 over the course of his career. Never lower than .275. Picture of consistency. And you hope that that's reason to believe that those numbers will come back up as the season goes on. Here's the 1-1.
You know, for me, Joe, Howie Kendrick has really been hurt by the shifting. And maybe because his lack of effectiveness. You see where Paul Goldschmidt's playing him right there in that hole. Well, when Howie was batting second, a lot of times he'd hit with a man on first. And when he's hitting down in the order because he's been less effective, he doesn't have as many men on first, and so he's hitting into a different defense. So they are able to get Goldschmidt right where Howie pinches and hits those balls right over there. And so I think his batting average gets affected by the situations that he's automatically put in because he's lower in the order. If he was hitting 2 and our leadoff hitter like Utley was getting on, a lot of the times that hole is open where he hits consistently. He has the highest percentage of ground balls in the big leagues at 66%. So where the infield plays is huge for him. And most of his hard hit balls are to the right side, and most of his weaker ground balls are hit to the left side where the pitcher gets him to roll over.
On a 3-2, you take strike 3 and a breaking ball down the middle. We say hello to Alana Rizzo.
Well, guys, the Dodgers make a roster move today, adding veteran outfielder Will Venable into the mix, certainly trying to spark the offense, but more importantly, trying to provide at least a left-handed bat off the bench. The Dodgers signing him to a 1-year contract. Dave Roberts not committing to how long he's going to be up here. They will need to make a decision when Yasiel Puig comes off that disabled list, tentatively on June 20th. The corresponding move sending Austin Barnes back to AAA Oklahoma City. Dave Roberts commenting on Will Venable, saying that he's basically made from the same cloth as Trace Thompson. Of course, these two know each other well from their days in San Diego.
Yeah, as Kenta Maeda hits a big bouncer to second. Gene Segura throws him out, 2 away. Nice piece to have for a team who's losing a lot of close games. There's another thing that Dave Roberts had mentioned. There's some late speed, some late defense, that pinch hit ability off of the bat like Alana off of the bench like Alana mentioned.
Overall, don't look at the statistics, but really look at what he can do against a right-handed pitcher as a left-handed bat, because he will be matched up specifically with what they need him to do offensively, what they need him to do defensively, and what they might need him to do as a pinch runner. Speaking of former Phillies, because Venable was in the Phillies AAA system when the Dodgers picked him up. Here's Chase Utley. One of the all-time great Phillies. He's easy to root for when he's in your uniform, but he's a thorn in our side when he was a Philly. It's a 6-time All-Star, 5 consecutive years in his prime from 06 to 2010. And he had those couple years where he dealt with significant knee injuries. Bounced back from those, was an All-Star again in 2014. And last year wasn't the knees, but it was an ankle that had him at one point as one of the worst statistically hitters in baseball. And a lot of people had written him off and wondered why the Dodgers would even go out of their way to bring him in August. And then the same people wonder why they'd bring him back for another season. But he's proven to be a really nice piece, important piece at the top of this order, having somewhat of a resurgent year. On 1-2. Bradley strikes him out with a fastball. 1, 2, 3 go the Dodgers. 4th K of the game for Bradley.
to the hill for the bottom of the third. Diamondbacks stringing together back-to-back hits to start the game. A double from Segura, single from Lamb to plate the game's run. Archie Bradley, couple of hits and 11 ABs this season, and Kenta Maeda's first pitch to him is down the middle, strike one. Diamondbacks have won 3 in a row for the first time since mid-May. Winning the final 2 games against the Marlins over the weekend and taking the opener of this series last night. Dodgers, meanwhile, have dropped 3 in a row. They've lost 5 of their last 7. And for the first time in 3 seasons, they've dropped 3 consecutive 1-run games. Second K from Maeda. And one away in the third. Summer's almost here, so gear up with the Dodger Cooler backpack. It'll be available to the first 40,000 fans in attendance next Monday, courtesy of your SoCal Honda dealers. Go to Dodgers.com/promotions for tickets. Michael Bourne hitting 9th in Chip Hale's lineup. Justin Turner on the grass at third. Here comes Maeda with ball 1. Bourne was signed at the beginning of May. Started the season, at least in spring training, with the Braves and was released. Then went to the Blue Jays, spent some time in the minors with them, was released soon after. And signed a minor league deal with the Diamondbacks, but a few days later was called up. Give him another option in center.
And really an early response to the A.J. Pollock injury. And looking for lightning in a bottle. Spark the offense. Give him another person that can run a little bit and maybe get on base.
On 1-2. He's 33 years old now, Michael Bourne. 11th major league season, his 5th different team. Started his career with the Phillies, then went to his hometown of Houston to play for the Astros, where he was an all-star. Was an all-star with the Braves as well in 2012. And then signed a pretty significant contract with the Indians, and he just never lived up to. And the Indians cut him loose. 2-2. And back-to-back strikeouts to begin the third for Maeda.
91 on the gun right there. Kenta going with some gasoline and a very well-placed fastball. A little 2-seamer or 4-seamer. Just had a little tail to it. Well-executed heater.
And now he gets Gene Segura, who doubled on the 10th pitch of the AB first time around. Maeda pitches 1-0. Strike one. 5th meeting between these teams this year. They've split the first 4. Dodgers taking 2 of 3 in LA. For the Diamondbacks, even the season series last night. 1-2. Dodgers, though, over the last few years have owned the Diamondbacks. They are 30-12 against Arizona since the start of the 2014 season. That's the best record for any one team in baseball against a division opponent during that span. Kenta trying to strike out the side. A 1-2. 91 again.
He's officially pitching him backwards. What I mean by that, he started him off with a curveball, went to a slider, then another slider away, and then trying to finish him with the fastball. A lot of times most pitching forward is get ahead with your fastball, use your off-speed stuff to get people out. Here, Kenta slowing him down with the slider and the curveball, and then trying to finish him with the fastball.
2 of his 3 strikeouts have come off fastball so far. Continuation of the trend that we talked about right off of the top, which has been a change for Maeda as his rookie season has rolled on.
We've seen 4 fastballs at 91, getting a little frisky out there, number 18. Traditionally worn, that number over in Japan, by the aces of staffs, which Kenta won the Cy Young and some gold gloves over there a couple times.
Segura flips a base hit into center. Impressive night for him so far. And this 3rd inning kept alive for Jake Lamb. He's seen 17 pitches in his 2 ABs and has a double and a single.
Professional at bats, grinded out at bats, and finding results at the end of the rainbow.
Jake Lamb drove him in after he doubled in the 1st inning. 40th run driven in this year for Lamb, which ties him with Paul Goldschmidt for the team lead.
There's some royalty playing 3rd base in the National League right now. You got the Nolan Arenados, the Chris Bryants, the Matt Carpenters. Well, 4th in RBIs now is this guy right here, Jake Lamb. Arenado's got 53, Bryant's got 45, Carpenter's got 42, and Jake Lamb is right there at the top.
And Carpenter's still classified as a 3rd baseman in those categories, even though he's playing some 2nd. Johnny Peralta came back from his injury, and Aledmys Diaz at short, who was called up just because of the injury to Peralta, has been a Rookie of the Year candidate. He couldn't take his bat out of the lineup, had to find a way to get Peralta in there, and the way to do that was to slide Carpenter over to 2nd. It is 1-1 to Jake Lamb. Wrapped around the plate, 2-1.
It's like the first 4 hitters of this Diamondback team really have a good approach to the opposing pitcher that we've seen. The rest of their lineup after Peralta seems to me like they're just a certain type of hitter, where these 4 at the top, including Goldschmidt on deck and Peralta after that. So I would say they're just more adapting to what the pitcher's trying to do. We saw that with Mike Bolsinger yesterday. We're seeing that with Kenta, how he's having to grind through these at-bats on these guys at the top of the order, as we watch the snap throw down there to almost get him.
It's pretty close. Segura has 7 stolen bases this year. Leads at first with 2 gone, and on a 3-1, Lamb fouls it off to run the count full. Jake Lamb now 3 of 4 against Kenta Maeda, with the 2 doubles in the first meeting at Dodger Stadium. Tried to make it another double his first time up, but was thrown out trying to go to 2nd by Trace Thompson. Segura will take off with his 3-2, and Lamb takes barely low for ball 4. So back-to-back strikeouts to begin the inning for Kenta, then a single for Segura on a 7-pitch AB, and a walk for Lamb brings up Goldschmidt.
I think it's really back to the quality of these first 4 hitters, that the way they can grind out at bats, where they're picking up borderline pitches and taking them for balls. And Segura has led the charge there at second.
Goldschmidt trying to extend an 18-game on-base streak. Best hitter in the National League during that stretch. After starting this season over the first month plus, hitting only .240. Put together the slow start in the hot month, and he's still #1 in the National League in on-base percentage overall. On 1-0. Breaking ball catches the corner, 1-1.
Kenta wiping his brow, rubbing the baseball up. Goldschmidt steps out, changes the timing of the at-bat, but he is really grinding out there on the mound to get through this part of the order.
It's already be the 49th pitch of the night. The 28-year-old from Osaka, Japan. Has one that he likes from Grandal. Goldschmidt hits it hard into left center for a base hit. 3 consecutive 2-out base runners, and it's 2-0 Arizona on Goldschmidt's RBI single.
The base hit really just finds its way through the middle. You hit 2 and 3 hoppers, though. They have a better chance of finding their way in there because they're hit firmly just out of the reach of Corey Seager. As Kenta struggles to get through these first 4 hitters, including Goldschmidt. Those 49 pitches, 35 of them have been to the first 4 hitters. The last 5 batters only have seen 14, and those guys have made it mostly outs.
So they're at the corners for David Peralta, who lined out to right his first time. And corks a liner to left center that Kendrick is under to retire the side. After back-to-back strikeouts against the 8 and 9 hitters to begin the inning, 1 through 3 in the order all reach, and it produces a run. Brought to you by the Dodge Challenger. Test drive one at your local Dodge dealer today. And by Jack in the Box. It's back. The Portobello Mushroom Buttery Jack. Taste it before it's gone at Jack in the Box. Well, Kenta Maeda grew up admiring Ichiro back in Japan and got to meet his hero and struck him out the first time that he faced him. When these two faced off near the end of April, Ichiro having a great season to chase down some all-time marks. 4,255 hits entering the night, and his really 2 careers combined between Japan and his big league career, which puts him 1 short of Pete Rose's 4,256. 1-1 on Corey Seager.
Ichiro on that day where Maeda couldn't wait to face him. Maeda got him 0 for 3 with that strikeout you talked about in the first at bat. But Ichiro chasing Pete Rose just had a 3 for 4 night.
On the bench tonight,
El Bencho.
3 hits. Good job, El Bencho. Ichiro had 1,278 hits in 9 years in Japan. 2,977 as a big leaguer. Dodgers looking for their first hit against Archie Bradley, who's got 4 punch-outs through 3. He has walked 1. That was Corey Seager. Who waits on this 1-2. Came in on him, jammed him foul. We'll do it again.
I had a nice little chat with Ichiro when the Marlins came in to play the Dodgers. Jogged across the field and shook his hand as he was warming up a little bit, and just wanted to thank him for his approach to baseball and the professionalism and the excellence that he brought, and congratulate him on the career and continued success after he left us in LA.
Third baseman, Justin Turner.
That is the 5th strikeout for Bradley. 4 of them have been looking, and not many of them have necessarily been painted. Bradley still has not given up a hit. Over 3 1/3. And now Justin Turner.
Here in his 2nd year with the Diamondbacks, Bradley, the things that have improved, a little bit of the fastball command, but that is still erratic at times. But he's throwing more curveballs and more changeups. And not as many of those that Justin just fouled off. The hanging, rolling curveball, he's been doing a better job of keeping it down and having it represent a low fastball, and then having hitters chase when it then breaks down.
It's 0-2. Bradley, the former 7th overall pick of the Diamondbacks in 2011. Although he was their 2nd pick that year, they took Trevor Bauer with the 3rd overall pick in the draft. Bauer now with the Cleveland Indians. Just misses. 1-2.
He perfects that pitch right there and gets it on the plate. He's going to be real hard to hit for a long time. His stature out there, throwing the downhill fastball with that angle and that velocity.
Comes the 1-2 to Turner. Hard hit to 3rd. Jake Lamb. 2 gone. Well, Bradley said he went through a phase early on in his career, going through 4 years in the minors before his major league debut, where he worried too much about comparing himself to the guys that were drafted around him. Garrett Cole went #1 overall that year out of UCLA, and of course he's off to a great start in Pittsburgh in his career over a few seasons. Trevor Bauer made it to the big leagues well before Bradley did. Drafted after him, Jose Fernandez was 14th. Sonny Gray was 18th. And he said once he stopped comparing himself to those guys and started worrying about himself, it helped a ton. On a strike on Adrian Gonzalez, who took strike 3 called on a breaking ball his first time. Looking for something to cheer about if you're in Dodger blue. Adrian, former first overall pick himself. Out of high school in San Diego with the Florida Marlins in 2000. Bradley gets him with a fastball, and that is 4 no-hit innings for Archie Bradley in impressive fashion with 6 Ks through 4. 2-0 Arizona.
Field, everybody. Dodger fans looking for something to cheer about. That Script D is a spring training hat. Also, minor league hat for the system. Time now for the T-Mobile greater coverage of baseball. 3 Dodger prospects honored last week by their respective leagues. Tulsa infielder Willie Calhoun, right-handed pitcher Trevor Oaks, and infielder Mike Ahmed, of course, a tie here to Nick Ahmed, earning Single-A California League Player of the Week accolades. And how about 9 Tulsa Drillers, guys, named to the Texas League All-Star team? It's a league-high 9 players. So a lot of guys down on the farm, perhaps future Dodgers, getting some accolades.
Stuffing the ballot in Tulsa, huh? Like Kansas City last year.
Like the Cubs.
This year, yeah. At least this year with the Cubs and their high number of players up at the top of the All-Star voting, you can make a pretty good case for them. Last year with Kansas City, a guy like Omar Infante was #1 in voting until the final week. And I think probably would have won it. Not saying I'm a conspiracy theorist here, but my guess is Major League Baseball kind of stepped in and did right there. He was the lowest qualified hitter in baseball, and he was leading All-Star voting among second basemen until that final week. Peter O'Brien.
In our pregame hit, I announced that I did vote today.
That's right.
And I voted for that young man right there. I don't want to go back over my whole ballot, but Corey Seager needs your help and deserves your help to get on that All-Star team.
It's a Cub that's ahead of him.
Yes.
Edison Russell. It's not just a Cub.
But there's probably 4 guys. If I,
yeah. Adrian Gonzalez, the only Dodger that's in the top 5 in voting at a position right now. Maeda to O'Brien. This is away, 2-2. It's getting close to a sure thing, though, that the starting pitcher for the National League will be wearing Dodger blue.
Should be an investigation if he's not. The best pitcher on the planet, the best pitcher over the last 5 years for sure.
Maeda strikes out O'Brien, his 4th K of the game, 1 away in the 4th.
And off to his fastest start for his first 13 starts in his career. That includes his Cy Young years, his MVP year.
Kershaw demonstrative right now. Grandal shouting back to the dugout and saying, I think he's saying we're good. Will Ireton, Kenta's interpreter, coming out with pitching coach Rick Honeycutt. What do you see?
I am not sure what they're talking about. Maybe Alana will give us a clue a little bit later when this group breaks up and they come back to the dugout. Clayton was sure understanding what was going on as he was motioning out there about something and brought Will and Rick Honeycutt out in a hurry. Kenta delivers the pitch, swing and a miss.
Grandal walks out in front of the plate and is pointing into the dugout. There's a high fly ball off of the bat of Chris Herman that will get into the seats. And that was when Clayton Kershaw, you saw motion back towards the field.
Sure that mystery will get solved later. Get that information to you.
Brian down on strikes, and Maeda ahead of Herman 0-1.
See nothing in Kenta's mechanics or his delivery that tells me he's favoring anything. And he's getting right back on the hill and getting ready to pitch, not hesitating at all.
Drops in there for strike two. Herman lined to center his first time. He and Grandal were teammates for a year at Miami. The Hurricanes. Painted over the inside corner with that tailing action on the fastball. Maeda's got his 5th strikeout.
Been going through the bottom of the order like a hot knife through butter. He's had to grind it out against the first 4 hitters, but right here, this well-located fastball will get anybody out.
Yeah, all 5 through 9 in the order have been struck out tonight, including Nick Ahmed, who's hitless in this series after bringing a 6-game hitting streak in. Normally significant, but in the case of Ahmed, prior to the hitting streak, was struggling to one of the worst offensive seasons in franchise history by some categories. Stays in the lineup though because of his elite defense at shortstop.
The joke on a big league bench to him in a slump would be, don't lose your glove. Sarcastically really complimenting him on, we're glad to have you on the team because of that. That was joked to Ozzie Smith and to Omar Vizquel earlier in their career, and then they both got stronger and became offensive forces.
Different position, but same thing with Yadier Molina. Who's continued to be a stalwart defensively, but has also turned into one of the best hitting catchers in the game. 2-2 on Ahmed.
The only time you really saw Yadier struggle with his offense after he became an offensive force was when he would get hurt. And he was so tough, he wouldn't want to ever be taken out of the lineup, and he'd hit with a jam thumb or a bad leg or whatever, and he'd figure out a way to get it done.
Yeah, he had 2 off-season thumb surgeries this season. Still having a good year though. Ahmed digs one out of the dirt, flips a soft pop into short center for Peterson. And a 1-2-3 fourth for Kenta Maeda. See if the offense can get going. Down 2-0. Dodger Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. Toyota's Summer Drive sales event is going on now, where you can save big on the all-new Prius.
They call this the churro dog, and it gives me stomach ache watching them make it. Would you eat it? Would you do one of those?
No, I'm on my no carb or low carb diet. That looks like carbs to me.
Yeah, there's some gluten in there.
There's some gluten.
So not much going right now, obviously, right? I mean, the Dodgers no hit through 4 innings right here. They've dropped 3 in a row, but if you're looking for a silver lining or at least a reason to be optimistic, and again, 6 games out of first place, second place at this point. But you look back a couple years ago, 2014, they were only 3 games under or over 500 at this stage. They went on to win the division after trailing the division by as many as 10 behind San Francisco. Back to 2013 on this date, they were 10 games under. Went on to win the division with that incredible 42-8 stretch. That's not to say this roster is capable of a 42-8 stretch. Not many are. But the point is, it's still really early, and the deficit is only 6.
And you go back, you think about 2013, what happened when all of a sudden they came from behind from 5th place and out by a large margin. Hanley Ramirez came back. There's a spark. He came back on June 4th. Yasiel Puig came up on June 3rd, and you know what Yasiel ended up doing that year. 19 home runs, 42 RBIs, 66 runs scored. And then I think emotionally too, there was a fight here in Arizona where Zach Greinke got hit by Kennedy, and it brought the team together. Not that you want violence to bring a team together, but a brotherly bond started. And so when we talk about it's early and things don't look good right now, there are things that can come together on a roster, and individuals can get healthy, like Yasiel is down and rehabbing right now. You never know what he's going to be when he comes back. Hanley came back, and this fight kind of brought them together. And so Zach was here and experienced that and was part of that big comeback. Clayton was part of that. And I think that when you watch a team, it's a novel. And this is a bad part of the novel right now for the Dodgers, especially the offense.
Baseball season is a story that writes itself over the course of a summer, over the course of 162 games. Some reads are more pleasant than others.
You got to have the bad to enjoy the good. You got to have a villain to have a hero.
Jock Peterson ahead 3-0 after Thompson went down swinging. Strike 1. So Bradley in his major league debut, which was against the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium last April, gave up only 1 hit through 6 innings. No hits over 4 1/3 so far. Peterson pulls a high drive, and that'll break up the no-hitter in a big way. It's 2-1. And perhaps a jolt to this offense with its 10th of the season.
Jock faced Zach Greinke yesterday, and Zach got him with some high fastballs. Got him to pop up to third in his first at bat, pop up to short in his second at bat. Jock got him in the third at bat with a double. And right there, it looked like Jock made a huge adjustment, kept his hands up, got on top of that pitch, and really understood what the Diamondbacks tried to do against him yesterday and made a very good adjustment.
Homered on Sunday in San Francisco, and he homers here to bring up Grandal, who takes upstairs. And you hope and wish that it's one of those swings that can spark the offense forward. Measured at 411 feet. Got out of here in a hurry. Bradley's 2-0, and Grandal takes it outside. 3 balls and no strikes. And that's been the thing with Bradley, right? Utter dominance, but a lack of consistency. 4 1/3 no-hit innings, gives up a long home run, and falls behind Grandal 3-0, and walks Grandal.
You see that a lot with pitchers, especially in the youth leagues, of losing your control after this happens. And you got to keep your hands above the fastball because the barrel of the bat ends up below your hands. So to get the barrel through like that on a high one, you got to be very disciplined and very strong to stay through it and on top of it. Excellent job by number 31.
Who didn't hit a home run until he was a junior in high school. He was a line drive hitter even through the end of high school and early on in his pro career. While he was in the minor leagues and wasn't in the minors for too long, but has developed when he's able to connect. One of the great power strokes you'll find.
It's an interesting time now to watch Bradley because he hasn't pitched out of the stretch for 4 innings. And even after the home run wasn't out of the stretch. So here are the first few pitches. What will it take for him to find the rhythm from this position? The 5th ball in a row right there.
And facing the guy that came up with the only hit against him his first time against the Dodgers. It's interesting to think about Jock's evolution as a hitter, going from a guy who never homered as a high schooler until he was a junior, to a line drive guy, to a guy that developed power. As Kendrick fouls one off, and it's 1-1. And then he got to a point last year where he struggled mightily over the second half. The average not necessarily where he wants it now, but the well-documented daily games of pepper that he plays at this point. Trying to take what has become that big swing and hone it in. A 1-1 to Howie Kendrick.
Remember, we talked about Howie down here in the order where he doesn't have a man on first as often. Well, the Dodgers get their first base runner other than the home run, and you see how the defense completely different against Howie. And this is the kind of defense that he faced a lot when he was batting second, where he can use that hole over there at first.
That one kicks by Herman, and the tying run moves into scoring position.
Interesting if they call that a wild pitch or a pass ball. This looks like something you should catch. Tried to backhand it, not block it, try to glove it.
Wild pitch, they called it. What do you think?
I think it's probably a wild pitch because it hits the dirt first, but I think it was a lazy attempt to keep it in front of him. A lot of assume in that attempt to catch that ball.
Grandal at second with 1 gone in the 5th. See if Kendrick gets a pitch to hammer. And Bradley, who is dominant over 4 1/3, totally out of rhythm right now.
Well, after the home run, he's thrown 7 out of 8 pitches for balls. He's 3-1 here for the first time he's been in the stretch, and he's 1 hit away from having a tie ball game. So the pressure is kind of mounting on him to try and find it, and Howie Kendrick's going to try and make it hurt.
Now he's ready for 3-1. Inside, ball 4. Home run, walk, walk. After 4 1/3 no-hit innings for Bradley.
Well, the 23-year-old out there is going through some emotional difficulties right now, of finding his composure and his confidence. And Paul Goldschmidt out there, who gave him the advice to stay here in Arizona and work out to make yourself a better big leaguer. Don't go home to Oklahoma. Stay here in Arizona with me and go to the complex. Changed his body, but right now he's going to have to change his command.
Kenta Maeda likely up there to sacrifice. But Chase Utley in the top of the order coming. Infield thinks so. Corners squeeze in. Kenta squares early. and takes ball one.
They are not putting the wheel play on. They are charging hard from first with Goldschmidt. Goldie, a great athlete and a very good thrower of the ball from first. He is cheating way in at first and then collapsing on Kenta.
Who will try and make the third baseman field it. Exactly what he does. And the runners advance to second and third.
Very well executed bunt by Kenta right there, showing his skills as an athlete. Great fielder, great bunter. Anything to the right or back at the pitcher is trouble, but it's got to get to the left side, and it's firm. You don't want to just deaden it and then give the catcher an opportunity to possibly field it. You want to bunt that ball firmly towards third base.
So it sets it up for Chase Utley with runners at second and third and a one-run game in the fifth. Utley, though, has not looked comfortable against Bradley. He's 0 for 2. Had an awkward swing and a miss for strike three his first time, and took strike three called his second time. That's a base hit into right center, and the Dodgers have taken the lead. 2 out, 2-run single, Chase Utley.
Jock drove himself in, so no one was in runners in scoring position, but Chase Utley is presented with runners in scoring position, and he doesn't take long. The first pitch hits a bullet to right field, scores 2, and puts the Dodgers on top. Mr. Bradley lost his no-hitter, lost his shutout, and now has lost the lead.
And Chase comes through in a spot where Dodgers hitters have struggled a ton over the last week. Came into the game 3 of 37 with runners in scoring position in this latest stretch. Utley able to come through. And it brings up Seager with a man at first and 2 gone. One base runner through the first 4 innings for the Dodgers. 4 of them in this inning. Homer for Peterson. Walks for Grandal and Kendrick. And the 2-run single from Chase Utley. Now Bradley's fallen behind Seager 2-0.
You mentioned, Joe, after the home run from Jock, will that be something that might spark this offense? And they have followed through and made a fire.
The bullpen gets going. Randall Delgado's the right-hander. Zach Curtis the left-hander. 2-1 on the way, and Seager swings through it 2-2. Chase Utley starting to say he had not looked very good in his 2 ABs against Bradley, and he really hadn't. Went after the first pitch that Bradley threw and pummeled a base hit to score 2 and give the Dodgers their first lead. Now Seager hits a sky-high fly ball to left for O'Brien. And this inning comes to a close. But a 3 spot for the Dodgers to take a 3-2 lead, sparked by the solo shot from Jock Peterson, his 10th of the season, and a new ball game in Phoenix. Dodgers with a 3 spot in the top of the 5th and a 3-2 lead. Archie Bradley bats for himself. There was double-barreled action down in the bullpen with that inning rolling on for the Dodgers with 4 base runners against him, but he gets out of it with no more damage and stays in there. So he'll come in to pitch the 6th inning against the middle part of the Dodger order.
It's interesting, with 91 pitches, he's thrown a high of 112, so they're trying to squeak another inning or 2 out of him.
Five Ks for Kenta. Running the first or running the third. RBI hits from Lamb and Goldschmidt. There's another strikeout. 1 gone in the 5th inning. If you're still trying to find that perfect gift for Father's Day, then how about treating Dad to a Dodger game on Sunday? Tickets in all areas of the ballpark are on sale right now and discounted up to 60%. And if you get a ticket, first 40,000 fans that show up get Dodger boxers, compliments of Chef Marito seasonings, and then the kicker. You get to go down to the field to play catch with your family. The sale ends tomorrow, though, 5 o'clock. So for tickets, go to Dodgers.com/Father's Day. Michael Bourne took strike 1. Strike 2.
Every day that I get to come to a big league ballpark, have this job still, and walk down on the field. If a fan has never walked on a big league field or seen what it's like to look back at the stands, they have to do that on Father's Day. It's an experience.
Bourne went up the ladder to pull a base hit to right.
It's still an experience for me on a daily basis. I never take it for granted to be able to walk out there where the guys with the best ability in the world get to walk and play.
And as you well know, there's nowhere like Dodger Stadium to look back up into the stadium from the field.
The U.S. Open is this week at Oakmont. I've had a chance to play Oakmont maybe 10 times in my baseball career when we go through Pittsburgh. Actually was fined by Tommy Lasorda for bringing my golf clubs when they said no golf on the road trip. And I said, well, I'm going to get to play Pine Valley and Oakmont and Wingfoot this road trip. We're going to Pennsylvania and New York. I'm sneaking them on the plane.
Yeah.
He caught me and fined me. He fined me $250.
Could you handle that?
I could handle it, but I wrote him a check the next day for $1,000 and told him you're going to catch me 3 more times.
So, what was the point of your story, though, about Oakmont? You were talking
Just
about looking
the cathedral
yeah.
of a sporting event and being able to walk Oakmont, to walk Pine Valley, to walk Cypress Point. Some of the great places to walk Dodger Stadium, to walk the tunnels at Wrigley like we just did when we were in Chicago, and to walk out on the field and see the old scoreboard and the new video boards they've put up and know that, you know, Cobb and Ruth and all these greats have been there. The greats that have been through Dodger Stadium. It's absolutely amazing just to be able to see from their perspective on the field, the fairway, wherever it is. I had an opportunity to play in the AT&T at Pebble Beach during my playing days.
Where else, man? Jeez.
Sorry.
Gosh.
I ate at the White House 3 times.
Oh,
You wanted to know more?
Sweet.
But it's just amazing. I never take it for granted. It's just amazing to go the places where you just wonder what people are seeing and feeling. And so for Father's Day, not to blatantly promote those tickets, I would say having an opportunity to play catch on the field at Dodger Stadium is actually almost more important than coming to the game for the father, the son, the daughters, the moms, whoever wants to come.
You ever heard of Fun Time in Grand Ledge, Michigan?
No.
Time is spelled with a Y. T-Y-M-E. It's a great little putt-putt course there. I've been there. Yeah.
Is there a windmill?
Our producer Mike Levy just asked in our ear, is there a windmill? That's why I started laughing, because there is. You got batting cages there, go-karts. It's really great. You should check it out.
Well, maybe in future Father's Day, since you're about to have a baby here in a few weeks. That'll be a place.
Few days at this point.
Well, let's get you home before
that would be good.
the contractions start.
Yeah.
I don't want any panic flights where you have to leave here and I have to do this by myself. Hold on, Libby, please.
Dodgers in front of the Diamondbacks 3-2 in the bottom of the 5th inning. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Gene Segura, who's doubled and singled and scored both Arizona runs today. Puts it in play. Maeda's got it with a bare hand and throws it by Gonzalez. Here comes Michael Bourne. And the Diamondbacks have tied it. They get it out at second, with Segura rounding too far, where they tie the game on the throwing error from Maeda.
In the second inning with O'Brien hitting, Maeda made the same exact play. Maybe this one was a little bit more difficult, a little slower chop, a little more angle on third. Made a great play back in the second. This one, the throw ends up low. Adrian not able to pick it, and that's when the circus kind of starts. Bourne easily scores with his wheels on the overthrow. Segura, thinking the ball might go home, made a big turn thinking third, and then got caught and hung out to dry. Trace Thompson did a nice job throwing it in behind him. A little slip, and it was close, but they're not going to review it.
So just like that, Diamondbacks have tied it back up after the Dodgers scored 3 in the top of this inning. Jake Lamb with the bases empty and 2 gone. And Lamb and Segura, top 2 hitters in this lineup in this series, a combined 7 for 11 with a pair of walks. That's all in front of Paul Goldschmidt, who has 2 RBIs in this series thanks to those guys being on base.
Kenta's pitch count at 77. The game tied. Dodgers looking desperately for a win. If Lamb reaches, I think you might see a visit from Rick Honeycutt and some action in the bullpen.
One and 2.
Crisp fastball right there to respond to the throwing error, the chaos going on around him. Excellent pitch.
Popped him up. Chase Utley. The Diamondbacks tied the game on a throwing error from Maeda. After 5, it's 3-3. Arizona, they have these costumes of former Diamondbacks greats. Who knew Randy Johnson could run like that?
He's running as fast as his fastball.
Big unit and a photo finish. Luis Gonzalez, Matt Williams, Mark Grace are the other ones. You couldn't tell. Archie Bradley's back out there. Bit of a surprise that he hit for himself last inning, having given up the 3 runs in the 5th and having thrown 91 pitches, and with a rested bullpen after Zach Greinke's 7 innings last night. Turner, Gonzalez, Thompson for the Dodgers. And Justin Turner belts one to left center field. It's gone, and the Dodgers retake the lead.
The 3-hole hitter has to produce if you're going to score runs. Justin Turner has been passing the eye test. The swing has been coming, and the statistics will too when he continues to do that. Powerful, in rhythm, and photographic.
458 feet. So Seager's last night, there was an absolute missile, was 440. This is 458.
And he supplied the power. It was a breaking ball.
Two and one on Adrian Gonzalez. Turner's 3rd home run in his last 7 games.
They have a little bit of that stage lighting here in Arizona, like they do in a lot of sports venues, and Turner actually hit it up there into the darkness.
Yeah. Bradley to Gonzalez with a 2-2, and he got it. 8th K for Archie Bradley, and 1 gone in the 6th. Out of Oklahoma, he was a star high school quarterback, and in fact had committed to play football for Bob Stoops and the Sooners. He was going to go there on that football scholarship and play both football and baseball until the Diamondbacks took him 7th overall. Gave him a lot of money to sign. Dodgers drafted a guy out of Oklahoma this year, Cody Thomas, who is playing both at Oklahoma, was a quarterback on the football team and on the baseball team as well. He's now a Dodger. Trey's looking for his first hit of this series. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2 walks last night, but tonight a ground out and a strikeout. Archie Bradley's thrown 100 pitches. 4 1/3 no-hit innings before the home run from Peterson. Dodgers got 2 more runs on a Chase Utley 2-out single. And after the Diamondbacks tied it back up in the bottom of the 5th, Justin Turner pummels a home run on the first pitch here in the 6th. Bradley's 1-2.
Trace Thompson's learning curve has been so fast, and it really has come from really hard work, dedicated to the process, and trusting the coaching staff.
Down in a fastball. Another strikeout for Bradley, his 9th. Here comes Peterson, who started the scoring with that solo homer. We'd hoped that it would spark this offense, and it seems like it has.
The Morongo Casino slow motion camera. Morongo Casino has a resort, and that's about what that home run felt like for the Dodgers. A little bit of spa time. They start to spark the offense. They needed a respite and some production.
You got a little distracted when you read the word casino, didn't you? Mind started to wander.
A little bit.
Yeah.
We're really close here to Talking Stick. Which has got a very nice poker room that I happened to frequent a little bit in spring training.
Frequent a little bit.
Yeah, just frequent a little bit.
Ball and a strike on Jock.
That would be less than 7 times, but more than once.
Okay. No.
It's hard to have 2 6-hour hobbies. You can't play golf and be a poker player. You have to do one or the other. And since my body hurts when I play golf, I have decided to compete sitting down.
Yeah. Bradley trying to follow the home run with 3 straight strikeouts in what will be his final inning. Jock takes it in the dirt, and the count is full. Peterson again. His 2nd home run of the night. The offense has come alive the last couple of innings, and the lead is 2.
Bradley shook the curveball, shook to a changeup, and Jock stayed with it.
His 2nd multi-home run game of the season. And the Dodgers riding the long ball to chase Archie Bradley. And a 5-3 lead in the 6th. Innings, his 7th in his career against Arizona. That's tied for his most against any single team.
Check the signals out. Curveball, no. Changeup, yes. High fastball home run an inning ago. Changeup, a little extension, still on it. Bradley disappointed. Jock puts the Dodgers up 5-3 with his second blast of the evening.
And into the game comes the left-handed Zach Curtis to face Yasmani Grandal. There's ball one. Watching Jock Peterson during batting practice today, he was putting balls in places of this park I didn't know it was possible to hit them. And has followed that up with a 2-home run game. Grandal flies one down the right field line into the seats. Grandal 0 for 1. Walked and scored his last time. Lined out his first time. Jack Curtis pitches 1-1. And Grandal pulls the liner to left. O'Brien is there, and the inning is over. But a pair of solo home runs, Justin Turner and Jock Peterson, puts the Dodgers back in front. Sportsnet LA is brought to you by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. And by Carl's Jr., the California Classic Double Cheeseburger for just $2.49 at Carl's Jr. Dodgers have 4 hits tonight. 3 of them have left the yard. A pair of home runs from Jock Peterson and a home run for Justin Turner. Kenta Maeda pitching with the lead as we go to the bottom of the 6th.
You know, an odd stat for Archie Bradley, who has a 5.5 ERA or so. All 7 home runs he's given up this year are all solo shots.
Huh. Guess if you're going to give them up, strike one on Paul Goldschmidt. The ball, people say, flies better in here with the roof open. And it has been open each of these 2 nights. The line they look for is 100 degrees, and if it's below 100, they open it. I'm not thinking it's going to be open for our day game tomorrow.
No, it won't be. The seats would get too hot.
Yeah.
And that's the reason it stays closed. They leave it open throughout the day to help the grass grow, of course. And then when the teams are taking batting practice, the roof is still closed. But then they'll open it as the gates open, or a little even later than that, depending on how hot it is out, to keep the seats from being too hot to be able to sit on.
Maeda to Goldschmidt with a 1-2 pitch. Right back at Kenta, knocks it down and throws him out. Maeda crumbles down in pain. And he grabs that right shin.
The shock and the adrenaline rush allows you to grab the ball and still play the game. But the moment the out's recorded or you're done with your responsibility, the pain sets in.
He's hit in the hand by a line drive a few starts ago in New York. This one gets him in the lower leg.
We just hope it's not anywhere near his kneecap. And that ball comes back towards home plate after it hits him. That's how solid it hit. It didn't deflect at all.
95 miles per hour off of the bat.
Ugh.
Will Ireton, his interpreter, translating for the trainer Nathan Lucero. The bullpen gets to work in a hurry. J.P. Howell has already come out of the diamond for the Dodgers to take over for Maeda. Having a hard time even straightening up. And in tears, with the help of Turner Ward, Nathan Lucero limps his way off the diamond. Interpreter and friend Will Ireton carrying his hat and glove. Back to Phoenix in a moment.
For Los Angeles,
Able to walk down those dugout steps right after we went to break. J.P. Howell comes in for him after 5 1/3 for his 25th game this year, trying to keep it right here at 5-3. and help Kent to get the win.
Kent is still in there in the dugout, just trying to recover from the pain before he moves into the training room to get his treatment. It was a struggle just to get off the field.
Howell on to face the left-handed hitting David Peralta, who's 0 for 2 today. And hits a ground ball, base hit into right. Even with the shift on, is able to sneak it through. Let's go down to Alana Rizzo.
Guys, when Dave Roberts came back into the dugout, A.J. Ellis asked him exactly where Kenta Maeda was hit, and basically Roberts pointed on the right leg below the knee on that shin bone area. You can see the trainers continuing to work and talk with Kenta Maeda. Obviously, certainly do not want to speculate as Andre Ethier just came into your television screen, but the last thing you want is anything like what Ethier had that's kept him out for such an extended period of time. Again, speculating at this point, but it is that shin area on the right leg.
Okay, Alana, we appreciate it. We'll search out any updates we can get as the night rolls on. J.P. Howell gets the left-handed batting Peralta. So a right-hander comes in to face Peter O'Brien. After J.P. Howell gets David Peralta, it's Coleman on to face the right-handed batting Peter O'Brien.
And Lewis part of this successful bullpen as we watch Kenta get help down the stairs and head to the training room. Not a way you want to leave the field, but this bullpen has been so outstanding after the first 9 games of the season where they were really struggling. They have been the best bullpen in baseball.
O'Brien drills a fly ball to center. Peterson is there. Back to the bag goes Peralta.
54 games since April 13th. The bullpen has an ERA of 2.61, which is the best in Major League Baseball over a span of 176 innings. And Lewis Coleman has been a big part of that. Roles have been changed down there in the pen, but the effectiveness has really gone up.
Stays in to face the left-handed batting Chris Herman. Representing the tying run in the 6th. Strike one. A couple of guys formerly of the American League Central, a former Royal against a former Twin. Herman was in Minnesota each of the last 4 years, the last 3 as the backup catcher there. First season in Arizona now. Peralta held by Gonzalez. Coleman sets for a 1-1 pitch. Grandal can't find it, and Peralta advances to second. The ball deadened right after he hit it with his glove, and unable to pick it up and find it.
It's a tough one to find through the hitter's feet, through the blocking and the contact you feel on your glove, and all of a sudden he overruns it. Not an easy play.
Peralta into scoring position here with 2 outs. And Coleman with a 3-1 to Herman. A missile to right. And it will score Peralta. 5-4.
Well, the wild pitch comes back to bite Lewis Coleman. Might have been first and third, 2 out, first and second, 2 out, but instead it plates a run. 3-1 fastball near the middle of the plate, barreled up, and with the free 90 feet is a very easy RBI for the Diamondbacks.
So at 2 gone, it's Nick Ahmed out of the 7 spot looking at a ball. Ricky Weeks Jr. would bat in the pitcher's spot next. Ahmed hitless in this series at 0 for 5. Coleman brings him a 1-0. Strike 1. If you're just tuning in, Kenta Maeda struck by a line drive off the bat of Paul Goldschmidt just below the right knee. Had to be helped off of the field, has gone down the tunnel, back into the clubhouse and into the training room. J.P. Howell came on for him, retired the next batter. And Coleman has come on for him. There's a 1-1. Catches the corner. 1-2.
Bullpens function really well when everyone does their job, and if somebody all of a sudden is not, they don't let it spiral out of control. They keep everybody in their roles even though you give up a run or you give up a hit, and that's what Lewis Coleman is trying to do right here. JP's runner scores, but keep it in order.
And Coleman strikes out Ahmed to finish the 6th. The Dodgers lose Maeda with that line drive off his leg. Hold on to the lead though at 5-4. Then the Dodgers return home, and you can start your weekend off with a bang. Friday, June 17th, when the Dodgers welcome in the Brewers, and fans are invited to sit on the field and enjoy Friday night fireworks presented by Denny's. Friday's show on June 17th to be set to a classic hip-hop mix. Go to Dodgers.com/promotions to learn more and to get tickets. Kendrick, then the pitcher's spot. Looks like it'll be Scott Van Slyke. He's in the on-deck circle. Then back to the top for Chase Utley. All against Zach Curtis, who came into the game a little bit too late if you're a Diamondbacks supporter. Archie Bradley came on for the 6th. Bit of a surprise. He gave up a pair of home runs in that inning before Curtis replaced him. Ball 1 to Kendrick. Now he's 0 for 1, a strikeout and a walk. Came in to score after that free pass and pulls a solid base hit into left. It gets by O'Brien. Kendrick on his way to second with a leadoff double.
Nice to see Howie spray the ball around. Usually when you say that, you think of a guy that's going to the opposite field, but Howie traditionally goes the opposite field, but here gets the head out and pulls the ball for a line drive to left field and gets himself a double.
So he's 2 for 4 with a walk in this series now. Scott Van Slyke comes up, batting in the 9th spot. Had his second hit of the season last night. First one since coming off of the disabled list. About a month and a half on there for that back injury. Trying to give the Dodgers some insurance. The leadoff man in scoring position here in the 7th. Zach Curtis went his first 10 major league outings without giving up a run, but has allowed at least 1 in each of his last 3 times out here in the month of June. Former Blue Raider, Middle Tennessee State. Is 1-1. 1-2.
You watch a game, you see a rhythm of a game. A lot of times I break it down into 3-inning sets. In the first 3 innings, there were 2 runs scored. The next 3 innings, you've got 7 runs scored, and we've got 3 more to play. So you got to feel like there's going to be some scoring. The offenses are both feeling very confident. The pitching staffs are now into their bullpen, and the ballpark is playing with an offensive bent. So you don't feel real comfortable with a 1-run lead right here. You want to tack on.
Especially in this ballpark. Only Coors Field sees more runs and more home runs per game than Chase Field. We have seen the ball flying out of here both nights of this series. On 1-2, Van Slyke swings through it, strike 3. So unable to advance Kendrick. And back to the top of the order for Chase Utley.
Second baseman, Chase Utley.
Utley had the big 2-run single his last time up to put the Dodgers in front for the first time. That was in the 5th. After he struck out twice against Archie Bradley. Strike 1 on Utley. After that 3 for 37 stretch, 1 for 2 tonight with men in scoring position.
That hit was from Chase Utley. There's a first pitch fastball where he got the hit with runners in scoring position, and right there swung at a first pitch breaking ball. I think as the veteran, he decided that's probably what I'm going to get here after picking on a fastball.
Chris Herman goes out to talk to Curtis.
I think Herman did a good job catching that ball. I think it was a cross up between he and his pitcher on the signals, and that's why he left his crouch so quickly after he caught the ball to get that squared away. And Ahmed there as a middle infielder wanting to know what sequence of signs they're going to use, because he wants to cheat according to knowing if there's a fastball or breaking ball coming.
What do you know? Another one-run game at this point. Dodgers have played 6 one-run games in a row. First time since 2010. They've had 6 consecutive one-run decisions. Comes a 1-1 pitch, and it's a strike.
If you're going to play one, I like the way this one's balanced.
Yeah. Dodgers trying to snap a 3-game skid. They've dropped 5 of 7. Diamondbacks have won 3 straight. First time they've done that in more than a month. Kendrick at second with the leadoff double. And Curtis to Utley 1-2. First time in 8 games, by the way, Dodgers have scored 5 runs. And only the 3rd time in their last 16 that they've reached the 5-run mark. Hoping to make it hold up to get Kenta Maeda the victory. 2-2.
Kenta gets a W here today. Will make his leg feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Make everybody's spirits on the blue side feel better.
And you've got Clayton Kershaw going tomorrow on getaway day. If the Dodgers can find a way to hang on to this one and set up the rubber match with Kershaw going. Facing off with Arizona's Patrick Corbin. Curtis with another 2-2, and Utley pulls a high fly ball to deep right field. That one is way gone, and the Dodgers have gone deep for the 4th time tonight.
Two hits with runners in scoring position tonight, both by the same individual. One's a single and one is a big fly.
And Utley's knocked in 4.
Come on, Howie. Come on, Howie.
Now Seager with a slicing fly ball to left center. Bourne is back to make the play. Round number 2. That is also run number 999 in Chase Utley's career.
Such a quick bat, such a short swing. I always refer to his swing as hummingbird wings. It's so short and tight and quick.
It always been like that.
It has been.
Yeah.
I can't go back all the way to high school, but I know here in the big leagues it has been.
4 home runs for the Dodgers tonight, and a 7-4 lead as Chip Hale goes back into the bullpen. Dodger Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by BMW. See a Southern California BMW Center today for exceptional offers or visit SoCalBMW.com. And by Children's Hospital Los Angeles. We treat kids better. Jake Barrett, third pitcher tonight for the Diamondbacks. On to replace Zach Curtis, another rookie. 24-year-old from right here in the Phoenix area. Stayed here for college at Arizona State and making his debut for his hometown team this year. Strike one on Justin Turner. Well, Laurel, the Dodgers had scored 7 runs in the previous 3 games combined, and they have 7 in 6+ tonight. Sure has been nice to see.
You know, the offense can be hot, the offense can be cold. I really believe a bad offensive night is a long night. Bad pitching is a long year. And the pitching has been really good, and the offense will come around. And they've only been a tally or 2 short in all the games as we look at the results. So it's really been really nice to watch JT swing the bat the last few days, sometimes getting results, sometimes not. Tonight with the big fly that is almost 450 feet. And his swing is really coming around.
Barrett's 2-1. And Turner smokes a line drive base hit into center.
Not fouling him back anymore. When he gets the pitches up in the strike zone that he used to hammer, the breaking ball he hit for a strike or home run here today. This high fastball hitting different types of pitches in different areas. It's looking good, JT.
Good call by you, talking about him during the pregame show.
Blind squirrel finding an acorn.
Adrian trying to join the fun. And a high drive to the opposite field. O'Brien back. He's got room. Just barely missed the 5th home run of the night for the Dodgers. The 4th home run of the night came courtesy of that guy, Chase Utley, with a 2-run shot. He's knocked in 4 tonight, and the lead is 7-4. 26 Dodgers calendar shows us one more here in Arizona against the Diamondbacks tomorrow. That's an early start, 12:30 local time, and then 4 with the Brewers starting on Thursday. Scott Van Slyke stays in the game to play left, replacing Howie Kendrick. And Casey Fiend comes in. Now, those numbers are combined between Minnesota and here. In 7 games with the Dodgers, he's not given up a run.
Let go by Minnesota and then outrighted to Okie City. Spent some time there getting ready for here. And he's been outstanding since he's been here in the big leagues with the Dodgers.
And he gets a ground out on the first pitch of this 7th inning with the Dodgers in front 7-4. And a couple of resurgent pieces as far as their careers go that have helped spark this bullpen. Joe Blanton, Lewis Coleman, now Casey Fiend joining that list.
Veterans that are returning to their resume, other than Joe Blanton being a starter, but then showing he can really excel in the bullpen in the second half of his career.
Michael Bourne takes a strike.
And the bullpen really got squared away as some of the roles started to shift, as some of these veterans with resumes pitched their way from what could have been long men cleanup kind of positions up into the higher leverage 7th, 8th, setting the bridge for Kenley Jansen. Puts Pedro Baez back in a little bit more of a comfortable position in the earlier innings where he has a little more room to breathe. Chris Hatcher, a little bit more room to breathe until they get themselves really locked in. Dave Roberts and Rick Honeycutt showing a little bit more confidence in these veterans.
Slapped on the ground to Chase Utley. 2 up and 2 down. Now, in the case of Casey Fiend, we talked about it being a resurgence to numbers that he had shown earlier in his career. And you've heard me before refer to ERA plus or OPS plus, which takes a pitcher, ERA plus does, puts him on a 100 scale where 100 is league average. Anything above that is percentage above league average, and obviously anything below that, percentage below league average. In 2012, Casey Fiend's ERA plus was 2.01. Segura with another base hit into center.
So does that make him twice as good as any other reliever?
101% better than your average major league pitcher. So that was 2012. Yes, that's a long time ago. But when you take the previous 4 years in Minnesota, 12 through 15, toss out this year in Minnesota, his ERA plus is 115, 15% better than league average.
So a drop off for him individually, but not a drop off drastically to the whole league where you'd say he shouldn't be in the big leagues.
Jake Lamb with 2 gone. It's a fly ball to center. Peterson back at the wall, leaps in the air and makes the catch. Different night, same story for Jock Peterson, flashing the leather in center.
Last night he made one like this and crashed into the wall. Here he times it for the leap and due up now. Jock Peterson, how often does that happen?
Homers tonight, and on back-to-back nights, he's made great plays in center.
Sacrificing his body last night as he goes full bore. Spikes touching the warning track, but not warning him from keeping him away from the catch. Crashing into the wall. It damaged his wrist a little bit that night. We were a little worried after this play, and great catch. And then this one, just another outstanding job knowing where the wall is and timing his jump and not getting knocked down by the wall, reaching the height where he needed to catch that ball.
They tell you to get to the spot first and then find it, right?
When you think you're going to have to leap and you've got time, you want to save a step to get that momentum so you can get up, and that's what he did there. He saved a step for the ability and stay slightly away from the wall so that you don't rub up against it and keep you from reaching your maximum height.
Trace Thompson leading off this inning against Josh Colmenter, former starter for the Diamondbacks. Now working out of the bullpen. From Homer, Michigan. Small town of less than 2,000 people with a storied high school baseball program. Set a national record there with a 75-game winning streak while Colmenter was in the program. Over a few years stretch, Homer High School went 143-6.
I guess you get used to winning.
He went on and played at Central Michigan. 2-2.
.143-6.
Not a bad run, huh?
Wow. It's like Clayton Kershaw's strikeout to walk ratio.
It's like the Dodgers' pace and Clayton Kershaw pitch games. 3-2 on Thompson. This overhand delivery you see from Colmenter, he claims that he developed that when he was a kid in Homer, throwing tomahawks at trees. Can you see it?
Oh, you can definitely see it. I wouldn't say I would recommend it, but I can see it. Build that arm slot. You teach that to somebody who hasn't thrown like that since they were a child, you'd probably hurt their arm, but when you build up that track in your shoulder and your elbow and your body, and that comes natural to them. And it's definitely a funky look for the hitter because you don't see that from anybody else. Takes the ball out of his glove, hand stays on top of the ball for a long time, arches his back and throws it from behind his head like a tomahawk.
You can picture him out in the woods in Homer, Michigan, southern part of the state, him and his brothers with that motion. Letting those tomahawks rip. 8th pitch to Trace Thompson's at bat against the tomahawk thrower. And he hits one in the air to center for Michael Bourne. During that winning streak, a 75-game winning streak, Josh Colmenter won 49 games. Just got official word from the Dodgers PR staff, by the way, an update on Kenta Maeda. Good news. Right lower leg contusion, the x-rays negative.
Is really good news. Think about Alex Wood, you think about Brett Anderson, you think about the comebacks of McCarthy and Ryu. Think about protecting Urias's pitch count and inning count throughout the year. Ross Stripling down there who's been effective, but watching his workload. We're going to need Kenta back as soon as possible.
Maeda left the game in the 6th inning after Paul Goldschmidt lined the ball off his right leg. 3-0 on Peterson. Went down to the ground in a ton of pain and stayed in the ground for a while. Had to be helped off of the field by Turner Ward. And Nathan Lucero, the trainer, could barely make it down the dugout steps. But again, X-rays negative. Right lower leg contusion. Great news, but the cautionary tale is Andre Ethier, who had the same result to his leg injury and it wound up being a fracture. So you hope that the good news on the X-rays leads to him feeling better within the next few days as well. There's Andre, who's back with the team this week. This is his hometown here in Phoenix. Peterson pops out. 2 gone. Man, thank goodness, though. The X-rays negative on a night where the offense finally wakes up. And in a season where the team has been so bothered by injuries, it's only natural to look at that and say, well, here we go again. The newest Dodger, Will Venable, waiting on deck if this 8th inning were to continue. Ball 1 to Yasmani Grandal. Grandal pulls a soft liner that's off of the glove of Jake Lamb and into center. Grandal with a base hit. His first one of the series.
Trying to come fastball in, leaks over the middle of the plate, still jams Yasmani a little bit, and by the little bit of jam shot, a little bit of leather, but a single.
Normally when you're going through stretches like Yasmani is, those balls get caught. Hitting 128 over the last month. That one able to find its way into short center. 8th Dodger hit of the night. And here's Will Venable for his Dodger debut. Former San Diego Padre. Was with Dave Roberts for several years there. And this is exactly the kind of situation the Dodgers wanted him for. Pinch hit opportunities. Left-handed outfield bat off of the bench against a right-handed reliever and Cole Mentor and a plus defender.
Scrappy player that hits better off of right-handed pitchers, of course. On base percentage above .320 in his career off of righties.
Bounce to first. Goldschmidt on a tough hop will step on the bag to get him. On to the bottom of the 8th in Phoenix. Dodgers up 7-4. MLB.com at-bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with game day, live highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. And a 7-4 game in the 8th. Here's Joe Blanton.
Came in yesterday, 2/3 of an inning, got Paul Goldschmidt to ground into a double play, and Joe has been an integral part of the resurgence of this bullpen.
Heart of the order, Goldschmidt, Peralta, O'Brien. And Blanton's first one to the big slugger, Goldschmidt. Popped up. A mile high for Scott Van Slyke. The meander under it, out #1 on 1 pitch. And always a sigh of relief when you sit down Goldschmidt.
You don't want to face him with men on, and you don't want to let him lead off a rally, even with a 3-run lead.
We just talked about the MLB.com at-bat app. I'm using mine right now to check the Giants score. 2-2 with the Brewers in the 6th. Brewers have left, or Giants have left 10 men on base over the first 5 innings.
Can we get a read on the exit velocity of Goldschmidt's pop-up, please? It was so high up. We know the launch angle was wrong, but boy, he must have hit that pretty solid.
97. You can get that on the game day app or on the at-bat app as well.
And what's the average exit velocity?
High 80s, 87, 88.
Yeah.
If you want to find that, if you have the app, there's a tab called Feed along the bottom of the screen. At least I'm looking at it on my iPad right now. You hit the Feed tab, and it has live StatCast data.
The scouts, when you are going to scout a hitter and you want to judge his bat speed or his power, and in that day he maybe swings and misses a little bit and doesn't hit a home run, they check the height of pop-ups to know if a guy's got good bat speed and power. And that ball was way up there.
Okay, so here's the app. You know, the screen you're probably familiar with if you've used it. Right down here. Right there. I feel like a meteorologist right now. We got a front moving in. Feed tab.
Feed tab.
You hit feed, and right up here you get all your StatCast data. You got exit velocity, launch angle, all in real time.
Feed tab.
Yeah.
Sounds like your livestock would like that.
Suppose they would.
It's good though. Exit velocity. What else you get on top of that? Launch angle.
That's all in there.
What else?
Let's see. Distance. You know what? Maybe you don't get launch angle, but it looks like exit velocity and distance you get.
Gotcha.
Blanton to David Peralta with a 3-2. And he got him. Peralta tossed his bat, thought it was ball 4. And I'm pretty sure that our strike zone would tell us that that did catch the corner.
Joe Blanton got Paul Goldschmidt on a fastball in and went to that side of the plate again, but this with a left-handed hitter is on the outside corner for a strike.
And Russell, our great statistician, let us know that they do have launch angle, but only on homers.
Oh.
Which, to me, it seems like you should only have distance on the homers, too. You know, I don't care the pop-up went 240 or whatever. Justin Turner completes a wide throw that Gonzalez stretches to pull in and finish off a 1-2-3 8th inning for Joe Blanton. On to the 9th. Dodgers in front 7-4.
4, Kenta Maeda in line for the win. After the game, we come to you with Access Sportsnet Dodgers John, Jerry, Ned break this one down. Kenta's performance, of course, we will have an update on Kenta, who left the ball game after being hit with the comebacker in that right leg. We'll talk to Dave Roberts about this offense that we've seen tonight, 4 home runs, and certainly catch up with Chase Utley and the guys in the clubhouse. Guys.
All right, Alana, looking forward to that. Jack Peterson has homered twice tonight. 2 of those 4 home runs she mentioned. And a much-needed night of offense.
The studio is pumped. I've been getting text messages from the guys about it is going to be fun to finally cover a win.
Well, don't jinx it.
Finish it off. I'm not jinxing. I'm just telling you they're excited.
Yeah. Here's Van Slyke to lead off the inning against Cole Mentor.
Get this team on a roll like the 2013 team turned it around.
Incredible 42-8 stretch that year. Van Slyke off the end of the bat, drops one into center for a base hit. His second hit of the series. Kelly Jansen grabbing a ball and starting to get loose. Starting the path back from a rough weekend in San Francisco. Utley with a 2-run single to put the Dodgers up for the first time as part of the 3-run 5th. And then the 2-run homer in the 7th. Utley drove in those 9 runs in the 2 games in New York near the end of May. That epic couple of nights where he was being booed from the start. Had the game tying triple on the Friday night that weekend. Had 2 home runs the following night after they threw behind him. He hit a grand slam. So he had those 9 RBIs in back-to-back games. Prior to tonight's 4 RBI performance, he'd only driven in 1 run in the last 13 games. They come together in right center. Bourne able to make the catch. Now, part of that is that the stretch since the 9 RBI weekend has been a stretch where not many guys have been on base for him to drive in. He's not been quite as hot himself as he was over the first month and a half. And it sure is good to see Chase tonight with the 2 hits and the 4 runs knocked in. Corey Seager is 0 for 3. Strike 1.
Hitting is contagious. You know, it relates to a man being on, so they can't use the same shift that they want to. It relates to action out there, pitcher's confidence being shattered as the guy in front of you gets a hit, fatigue, a lot of different things that get an offense on a roll. If you ask any hitter, the 3 at-bats after a hit in their first at-bat are so much more relaxed that they have 1 in their pocket. And when your lineup takes an offer through the first part of this game, which they did, there was a no-hitter through what, 4?
Yeah, 4 1/3.
They responded very well to keep their confidence up and keep plugging away, because once Bradley gave up the hit to Jock the home run, he did an outstanding job piling on.
Nice changeup gives Seager 2 away in the 9th. Yeah, Archie Bradley had gone those 4 no-hit innings and then blew a fastball by Trace Thompson to start the 5th. That was his 7th strikeout. Dodgers offense looked as lifeless as it has during this rough stretch. Then Jock hit that home run, then back-to-back walks, and then a sacrifice bunt from Kenta Maeda that was well executed. Moved the runners to 2nd and 3rd. Setting them up for Utley's go-ahead single. And right after, the Diamondbacks had tied the game again, Turner, the following pitch of the next half inning, hit a homer himself.
Chase, when he got that base hit after Maeda's great punt. Didn't waste any time. First pitch, fastball. Riding on the bus, hanging around the cage today, walking through the locker room, there was still a lot of positive energy in the clubhouse. Guys weren't hanging their heads. Guys were talking about solutions, not talking about their problems. There's a lot of people on that bench that care and want to turn this around, and tonight could be the beginning of that.
Two on, and Turner fouls it off. 2-2.
And the group that really takes it personal has nothing to do with production on the field, at least physically themselves, the coaching staff. They grind on it. They get here early. They weep when they lose, and they're right there with them when they win, but they are busting it to find an answer for these guys, and this gives them a lot of hope too. But they have not wavered.
We talk about these 3 consecutive one-run losses, and the 13 one-run losses total this year, second most in baseball. That's when Dave Roberts' disposition comes in handy.
He hasn't stopped communicating. He hasn't stopped preaching the message. He believes in grinding it out every day. The process will take care of itself. That open communication, that pulling together, it starts at the top with him. Turner Ward grinding it out in the cage, out on the cage, in the field. Bob Guerin there right by Dave Roberts' side, supporting him, has managed before. Dave in his first year. It's not easy when you go through these struggles for the first time at the helm. You need somebody like that next to you. Give you some perspective.
Alana, you've got more.
Well, Dave Roberts is incredibly positive and also very communicative, as you guys were just talking about. He makes it a point every single day to talk to all 25 guys on the active roster, whether that's just a hello, a how are you, a sit-down conversation. Makes the rounds every day, talks to all 25 guys daily.
And all 100 members of the traveling party or whatever it is, too.
It's really hard to be a big league manager and not like people. You have to be touching and be close to a lot of people all the time, from the media to your front office to your players to the fans to the people you pass in the mall, in the lobby, or the hotel, everywhere. And Dave walks into a room, he lights it up.
Diamondbacks will have 6, 7, and 8 in the order, due up against Jansen in the 9th inning. 3-2 to Justin Turner, and he walked him. Now you're talking about Dave Roberts being in his first season and the stuff you go through as a first-time manager. There have been 18 major league managers hired between the end of the 2013 season and the start of this year. 13 of the 18 are first-timers. So there's been a trend in baseball towards giving guys those first opportunities. Always such a catch-22. How do you get that first chance without somebody giving it to you? And more, seeing teams go with guys that don't have that managerial experience. Just saw a shot of Matt Williams, who was coaching the Nationals. Guy to replace him, the exception to that rule, Dusty Baker, far from a first-timer. I
never got a chance to play for a rookie manager. I played for all veterans, from Tommy to Dusty Baker, Mike Hargrove, Bobby Valentine.
You saw him just go this big. He's talking to Jock Peterson, and I'm thinking Jock is describing to him how the ball looked to him tonight.
Like a beach ball.
Yeah. Two home run night for him. 4 home run night for the Dodgers. Talked about grinding. Adrian's grinding right now. 0 for 12 since the go-ahead home run in the 10th inning Saturday of a game the Dodgers eventually dropped to San Francisco, allowing the 2 runs in the bottom of the inning. Still 2-2 San Francisco, top of the 7th inning between the Brewers and Giants. Jonathan Lucroy is homered in that game for Milwaukee, one of the hot names with trade season approaching at a premium position. Gonzalez chases and misses, and a tough night for him with 4 strikeouts. We go to the bottom of the 9th, and Kenley Jansen gets ready to try and put a capper on a 7-4 game. Saves of Eric Gagne's club record. 7-4 game. Trying to finish off Arizona and even this series at a game apiece.
His struggles in San Francisco, command, and the cutter really turned into a 4-seam fastball. Wasn't able to really finish his mechanics off, and as he left the rubber, was falling a little bit towards first base. It'll be interesting to see tonight. He gets it back in order. He has been so consistent and so dominant. It's rare to watch him struggle.
And he has said that he's not felt quite his dominant self. Hasn't quite gotten the feel for that cutter lately. Well, the more that he throws it, the better that he typically feels. Chris Herman bats to lead off the inning. Ricky Weeks Jr.'s on the on-deck circle in Nick Ahmed's spot. Jansen trying to put the weekend in San Francisco behind him. Strike 1. Took the loss on Saturday, allowing the 4 hits and the 2 runs. Got the save the night before, but gave up a hit and a walk in that inning before nailing down a 3-2 win. If you can hang on here, rubber match tomorrow. Clayton Kershaw, Patrick Corbin. 12:30 Pacific time.
It's always a good sign for the Dodgers when Clayton doesn't have to play the role of stopper.
Yeah.
When he can be the guy that adds on. And that's when you get into your long winning streaks. When people hand him a baton and we're already ahead.
And too often it's not been the case this year. It seems like so many times when Kershaw's taken the ball, the Dodgers have been desperate for him to be himself, and every time he has. But you're right, will be nice to have him in his spot to try and get back-to-back wins. And he gets Herman for the first out of the ninth.
Nice adjustment from Kenley Jansen from the couple days there in San Francisco to throw this slider. In his mind, it's his third best pitch, but when number 1 and number 2 are not as accurate or not breaking, it's always nice to have that little slider available.
Ricky Weeks Jr. with Wellington Castillo on the on-deck circle now. Strike one, and that great month of May alone for Kershaw. You look at what he did, what he ended, what he snapped when the Dodgers needed him. His first start in May came on the heels of a 6-game losing streak. Had a complete game 3-hit shutout. His next start, they had lost back-to-back games. 2 runs over 7 innings and a win. May 12th, complete game 3-hit shutout. 5 days later, they had again lost back-to-back games. He goes 8 innings, gives up 1 run. And then May 23rd, that was the day after the 17-inning game where they desperately needed the bullpen to be saved. And what does he do? Complete game 2-hit shutout.
MVP.
Yeah. And I think you can make a really strong case for him in that regard. Really strong objective case. 2-1 from Jansen to Weeks. And I put it that way because Saturday, in an objective role working for Fox Sports, talking about Clayton Kershaw, CJ Nitkowski, my partner in that game, brought that up. Not even from our Dodger perspective, but that from a neutral national perspective, absolutely Clayton Kershaw's part of the MVP discussion, maybe even leading the discussion right now. Three and 2 on Weeks. Of course, he won both in 2014, the Cy Young and the MVP. He was the first National League pitcher to do it since Bob Gibson in 1968. Jansen's 3-2. Back-to-back strikeouts for the first 2 outs of the ninth.
Velocity, location, a little bit of late movement. There's the cutter.
So Wellington Castillo pinch hitting. Try to keep the game extended with a 9-hitter Bourne due next, and then it'd be the top of the order. Jansen would love to have Clayton Kershaw be the next guy to face the top of the D-backs order. Dodgers have hammered 4 home runs tonight. 2 from Jock Peterson, 1 from Justin Turner, 1 from Chase Utley, who's driven in 4 by himself. And after a 7-game stretch where they failed to score 5 runs, they've got 7 tonight. 1 ball and 1 strike on Castillo.
And the runs were loud. We hit 4 home runs in a game. This ballpark, yeah, it's offensive minded. The roof is open. The ball's carrying well, but the last 2 nights they have squared up an awful lot of balls.
Oh, knee buckler, 1-2. Kenley trying to strike out the side for the first time this year. The Dodgers win it 7-4. And Kenley Jansen gets save number 160, pulling him within one of Eric Gagne for the all-time Dodger record.
Kenley finished him off. Kenta started it, and Jock busted it open. Not only with his bat, but also with his defense out there in center field.
Time now for the Lexus player of the game, and it is Jock Peterson with those 2 home runs. And like you mentioned, another nice play in center. Home runs number 10 and 11 for him this year. And numbers 6 and 7 in his career against Arizona. He's hit 7 against the D-backs. He's hit 7 against the Giants. Teams that he's homered against the most. And again, the good news on Kenta Maeda, which post-game we'll talk about plenty. Alana will find more about in the clubhouse, but the good news is the x-ray's negative after he took that line drive to the shin from Paul Goldschmidt. That does it for now from Phoenix. For Earl and Alana, Joe Davis saying so long. Sending you to Access Sportsnet Dodgers, brought to you by Nissan. Back to the booth to wrap things in just a bit.